It's all a matter of numbers. White people are outnumbered sometimes something like 45 to 1 if it gets schemed of things. But for some reason, there's something wrong with being white now, because Coca Cola is telling its employees, and it won't be the only one, saying be less white, giving them lessons and instructions to become less white. How does one become lesser than what one is born into and what one is bred into, what one's education has given one, regardless of your colour? What Coca Cola should be telling its employees is be a better person, become dedicated to your own self-education and the way you address other people, so it's polite and civilized, would make a better person, a better people, and therefore equality. The equality comes about by raising the bar, not by somehow lowering it. I'm not saying if you be lesser white, you're lowering the bar, but to be less of what you have become because you are white, just because of the nature of the upbringing and the education that's inherited in that. Because if you look at the history of the development of all the technology in the world, most of it comes from the white era, and now from China, and now from India. But it originated in the Industrial Revolution in the Victorian era in the 19th century across Europe and in America. And that's spread all over the world. And everyone now wants a part of that, no matter what colour they are, what race they are, how they're brought up. They want more and more of these great benefits of what whiteness gave, or what being born into that white society brought to civilization. All the benefits, medical health systems for one, and all the science and technology, and all the benefits, the motor cars, everything else everyone craves for. That's why the mass migration is towards societies that have these things from societies that don't have these things, or it's much harder to gain egress to these things. So that people migrate by choice to white countries means they want to be more white. They want to be associated with more like white people than with their own types, especially when they've come from places where have gone to become overrun by criminals, like Central America. Some of the South American countries are overcome by criminals and unfit for human habitation, and therefore the people are moving, voting by their feet, if you like, to go where the more white people are. So it might be better protect them in the future, because otherwise they won't be escaping. But when it comes to Coca Cola, I've had 2 bottles. I think I've had the maximum is 2 bottles I've ever had in my life, and I think it tastes too sweet and syrupy for me. And it's the worst thing to possibly do to Scotch. You get a good bottle of Scotch and ruin that by putting Coke in it. Now, so I said to my son when he was going through his graduation, whatever it was, he said, "Dad, could you buy me a Scotch and some Coke?" I said, "Don't be disgusting, I'll buy the Scotch, but I'm not buying that Coke stuff." I said, "If you mix the Scotch with the Coke, drink too much, you get a really bad headache. But if you drink the Scotch neat, a little drop at a time, I guarantee I'll have half the bottle in the morning and you won't get drunk and you're the only one standing at the end of the party." And that's what he did. He said, "You're right, Dad, here's your half a bottle of Scotch." And we had a good time. We're the only one who got the girls. So therefore, a bit of wisdom all round. The white people are only outnumbered by 1 to 45. So they're only a small percentage of the population, and it's as if there's an agenda to eliminate being white from being whiteness. How can one possibly stop being what one is being brought up to be? And one is born into the colour one is. You just have to, but one can only be a better person to level things up rather than lower things down. Surely that's the message Coca Cola should be sending to its employees.